How to be a channel for God and your higher self. This is the topic for this video. I'm really excited to give you the framework, the science, the framework that I use on a daily basis to stay connected with my higher self, and I am excited to share this information with you. So if this sounds interesting to you, stay until the end of the video because I'm sure that you will really enjoy everything that you will learn from it. Welcome to this channel, my friend. I am Daniel from the channel Awakening Self, and I want to remind you just before we begin the topic that you are a conscious creator. For you, the reason for you being on this video is that you see the world differently. You basically see the world from a different perspective, from a different light, and for you to perceive this kind of informations, which is really esoteric and metaphysical, it means that you are actually on the process of awakening, and your higher self or your inner being is craving for such an information. So I want to congratulate you for this reason, and now that I've said all of this, I want to explain to you the framework that I use that helps me stay connected, helps me be a channel for God, for higher self in every moment that I like. And in a couple of words, I just want to sum up what you're going to learn in this video. First of all, you're going to learn the framework which will allow you to understand more about your real self and where the information that you're channeling comes to you and how it is perceived by your physical body. And I'll also explain every single problem that might occur in the process for you to be able to actually achieve this channeling state to the best of your ability. So if this sounds like something you're interested about, stay until the end of the video because I'm sure that you'll be so much excited and so much passionate about everything that you learn. And now let us begin. So as you can see, this is the framework, this is a map that I'm using to understand where I am centered in my body. And you understand already, but you're not only your physical body, you have so much more within you or without you that you are. And this is basically the map that is going to help you understand where you're positioned in all of your bodies, in all of your being. So as you can see, all of these bodies that you have basically a physical body, a subtle astral body, a causal, a higher or greater causal body, and then you have the absolute or the infinite, the place from which the universe is actually created. And you're all of these things, they're one and the same thing. So basically the absolute is within each of these layers, but you're just not aware of it. And the subtle body is within the physical body, the causal body is within the subtle and the physical body, and the great causal body is within the causal, subtle and physical body. They're part of each other, they're penetrating each other, and so you can basically shift back your awareness to understand a bigger picture of yourself and to become a channel of God. But for this to happen, of course, there are some problems that might occur. And before I give you the exact process which will allow you to see from where the information that you're channeling comes from, I want to say to you and I want to talk a little bit with you what might be the problems that occur so that you can understand and you won't make to have these mistakes that so many people make and distort the information that you are channeling. And if you haven't watched my previous video, there I explain a little bit about the process again, but now I'll explain it from kind of a different perspective. I'll explain it from a Freudian psychological perspective, and I'll explain a little bit more about the shadow. So, if you don't know what the shadow is this aspect of our being that we repress, we basically run away from, we don't like, we have been ignoring or neglecting our whole life, and this is something which is a part of us, a part of our being, that we're afraid of maybe, for some reason. Maybe because we have neglected it, maybe because we didn't like it, we hated it for a huge part of our lives. Maybe it's because we have judged it because like it may hide some negative characteristic and character traits that we just don't want to accept about ourselves. It's the place, the part of us that we neglect, we run away from. We basically turn our faces around and don't want to look at it. And if I'm to give an example in my life, basically my shadow for a huge part of my life has been negative emotions in general. So basically I have been resisting and neglecting all my negative emotions, running away from them, and this has actually stopped me from experiencing joy, bliss and ecstasy during the day, which is now something that is possible. It doesn't happen all the time, but since I have been neglecting negative emotions and like being this positive person in a box, this has stopped me from actually experiencing the greatest amounts of joy in life that everyone can experience. And this is the problem actually that happens and stops people from living a more fulfilled and passionate life. As you can see in this diagram, in this map here, the shadow is actually located in the subtle body. Now, but first, if you're not aware of the purpose of these bodies, I will give you a subtle or like a small explanation of each of them so that at least you know a little about them. I'll have to create another whole video on these bodies because there is so much more information to be said, but for now you just need to know what their purpose is, what the purpose of the physical, the subtle, the causal, and the great causal bodies. So the physical body, as you can imagine, it consists of the physical world, your physical body, the body with which you're identified, this object which is now wearing a shirt and some jeans, and this is basically your avatar. This is the physical body. It's not only the body actually, the physical body consists also of all the physical environment around you, everything that is physical, that you can touch, that you can eat, that you can see, that you can experience with your senses. This is what the physical body is. Then you have the subtle or astral or even mental body, set in some of the oldest scriptures. So, the mental or subtle body, it consists of everything that is non-physical, that is tangible, that is more like a wave. This is the symbol of a wave here, you see I have written. And this is like the symbol on the physical body, this is the symbol of a square, which is something physical, an object. So, the mental or subtle body is more like a subject, it's not physical. It consists of everything that is mental, every single thought that you have, every single belief that you have about yourself. It also consists of all your dreams, desires, of all your intuitions, of all your perceptions about the world, of everything that you think you are, and everything that you do not think you are because you don't know. So basically the subtle body consists of everything that is non-physical. It also consists of your emotions, your feelings. Actually, your emotions are part of the physical body and part of the subtle body, because when they physicalize or crystallize themselves, they actually become trapped in the body as sensations, and then sometimes they're part of the physical body or from this smaller sphere. But a huge part of them is actually located in the subtle or astral body, and that's why you can use them in a catalyst. But this is also a topic for another video, because for now I just want to give you the science of how to be a channel for God and your higher self. So this is what the subtle or astral body consists of. And this is where the problem lies actually. This is the problem because we have this thing called our shadow. And as I explained a little bit earlier, the shadow consists of everything that we have repressed, neglected, didn't accept about ourselves, lied about ourselves, all the things that we are afraid of, we run away from, we don't want to face. For example, if you're a fat person, not to offend anybody, but if you are and you don't want to accept this about yourself and you don't want to accept that you don't like it, you don't like your body, you try to be perfect, you try to train, you try to do everything possible to fix this problem, but you will not accept the fact that you are not okay with your physical appearance. So this is something that lies in the shadow, and since it's in the shadow, it's also in the astral body. It's not physical. You can't see your perceptions of your body. You can't see your perceptions of all the character traits that you don't like about yourself. This is important because since you can't see it, sometimes it's not tangible, it's not fixed, you can't actually touch it, then it's a little bit hard to understand. But it's important to see it as a part of the subtle astral body, because then you don't really need the validation to understand it. You don't need the hard facts to understand your shadow, because you know that it's not something fixed, it is tangible. So basically the shadow is this thing, this part of us, this aspect of us that we have to integrate. In Freudian psychology, Freud says that the shadows is this aspect of us that we are running away from, and we have to go through, and we have to integrate in the light of our being. So why the shadow is actually stopping? Why it is the problem and the thing that stops us to be a channel for God or higher self? Well, because the shadow, it might perceive things wrongly, or not wrongly in a sense that it's bad for you, but it might distort the information that you perceive. Because when you become a channel, you actually perceive information basically all the way from the great causal body into your astral body. And this information comes to you in some kind of intuitions, in thought forms, in visual images. Everyone has a different way of perceiving this kind of channeled information, but it basically comes from the great causal body. And before you can reach it, you have to reach the nothingness. But when it comes to the subtle or astral body, it might get filtered through the shadow. So basically it might go through there before it reaches your conscious mind. And in this place it might get distorted, so you might not be able to understand it correctly. That's why it's important to integrate your shadow in the process. Do not be afraid of some things, because some of the information that you might channel, you might not like. And you might not like it because this shadow aspect of yourself has neglected or rejected some parts of yourself. And since this is so, then it means that some of the information that gets channeled filters through the shadow aspect of yourself, and then comes as a negative entity, for example. Something that you might not like, you might be afraid of, and something that you might not want to accept about yourself. So it's important to be completely open when you're a channel and when you're basically a voice for God, because sometimes the information that might come through might not be really positive in terms of your perception of yourself. Because, for example, if you've neglected a part of yourself your whole life, and then you're channeling information from the great causal body, it comes into your being, and you have some aspects of yourself that you don't want to accept. It's normal that God will tell you this, your higher self will tell you this, and then it depends on what your perception of this information is. So it's really important to understand here that everything is accepted. No matter what the information you perceive is, everything is accepted. So you shouldn't judge anything that comes to you when you're channeling. And now let's see where this information is coming through and how it actually comes to your astral body for you to be able to perceive it with your conscious mind. How it comes from your subconscious mind and you're able to perceive it with your conscious mind. Well, the astral body carries another part of yourself. It carries your so-called self-image, the way you perceive yourself and the world outside of you. You have like these filters over your eyes with which you perceive the world. This filter is made from your belief systems, and these belief systems constantly create new thoughts in your head that are basically like goggles from which you see, colored goggles, because they're like filters, just like filters. When you're watching a 3D movie, for example, you have to put these goggles for you to see the 3D effects of the movie. Well, it's the same. Every one of us is seeing only the relative truth of the world. No one is seeing the absolute truth, because in the absolute truth, the world actually does not exist. It's all perception. It's an illusion of consciousness. Everything is created out of consciousness and it doesn't exist. But since we have these filters of our subtle or astral body, we can perceive this world, and I can call this object, which is created out of presence energy, a marker. So my perception allows me to do that. My self-image of the world, of me being an object in this outside world, allows me to do this. And how does that happen? Well, the self-image, it's a topic for another video, but basically, in just some words, it gets created from the age of 0 to 7, when you're growing up, when you're a child, and you're perceiving everything that your parents have learned in their lives. So basically, you're like a sponge, an open mind for information, and you're perceiving everything, their postures, their behaviors with the world, with people, the way they see things. You're seeing all this information, and it comes straight into your mind, and then it's filtered here. It's basically, it's like a process. Your mind is like a process. It uses this information to try to survive, to try to use it, identify with it, and then help you survive in this world. And the world again is a perception of your mind. So this is what is happening in the subtle body. But for you to become an absolute channel for God and for your higher self, you shouldn't be identified completely with your self-image, at least for the time you are channeling, because otherwise the information that might come will come in some distorted fashion, using specific perceptions and words and filters that you are identified with, you're familiar with, and you might not be able to really see the clear picture of the information that is channeled. So it's important to understand that, first of all, your shadow might distort the information in a negative way, and you wouldn't want to accept it. And second of all, your self-image, which is also here in this bubble of the astral body, might also distort the information in some sense, maybe using specific words, specific habitually used words by your being, by the way you perceive your separate self. And this is not a problem, of course, but if you want your channeling to be as clear as it is, it's important to understand it. So, where does the information that you are channeling comes through? This is basically the most important part of this video. Well, you can see the causal body, and I've written here just above the subtle body, and between the subtle body and the causal body, here is your higher self. Here is the part of you which is aware of your experience on this physical plane, which was aware and which had intentions behind your experience before you incarnated or on Earth. So, this is your higher self. It's able to perceive parallel realities of yourself. It's able to see the implications and the effects of your choices. It's able to see all of that, and it's able to give you this information if you're just open enough to look at it, so that you can have the best life possible on Earth. And for you to be able to channel your higher self, the information must come through from the great causal body. You can look at the great causal body as God, as the enlightened state, and basically you have your own higher self, which has the best interest for you. But if you look at the interest or the greater benefit of the world, then you have to look at God, because the world, or all the people in the world, is created from so many different beings which have so many different higher selves in a sense, and then consist of this oversoul. This is another word for God. And if you want to channel just information about yourself, then it's okay to be only rooted in this causal bliss body, and I'll explain to you how this happens in a moment. But if you want to channel information about the collective consciousness, then you should go one more layer deep. But for now, let's focus on the causal and bliss body. How do you enter in the causal and bliss body? Well, as you can see there, I have written nothingness and ignorance. So, you already know what the subtle body consists of, and then the causal body is everything that is keeping the subtle or astral body alive, everything that gives energy to it. And for your self-image, for your shadow, and for everything mental, emotional, thought, energy to exist, it has to be given life by something. And this is your causal body, the bliss body in other words. Because if you're really identified with your causal body, this feels like bliss in your physical body as an experience. And bliss, as you know, is a really empowering or peaceful emotion at least. So, how do you get into the causal body to get into this channeled state? Well, you have to remember that for you to be able to pass through the gates of God, you first have to forget who you are, forget your self-image, just for a while. You will not forget who you are for the rest of your life, but for the time you are channeling and you want to be a channel for God and higher self, you must forget who you are. You should basically accept that you don't know nothing. Accept that you never knew, you are innocent, you are like a child your whole life, but for the time of the channeling state, you are a child, you don't know nothing for sure. And that's how your awareness moves from the astral body, which your astral body is basically your identification with the body, because your body is a perception, and your identification with the world as being something outside of yourself as the body, it's all a perception, but you have to forget all of this. And by forgetting all of this, then you become a channel. You become a clear conduit of infinite intelligence. you become a clear conduit of your higher self, of the God state, and you're able to function a lot more efficiently with all these tools that you have. So, you know the implications of the channeling state, so I don't have to explain this to you, that's why you're on this video, but you will be able to channel information that is better for your life, for your physical life, better for the lives of all the people around you, better for understanding what your purpose is behind this incarnation, what some events in the past meant in your past, what some future events that might unfold will teach you, what effects some situations in your life actually had, so that you can understand the higher purpose, the bigger picture behind them. Everything, or not everything, but just a little bit of all the information that you can channel through and let be spoken through your body. So that's why it's important to understand the process. And by being in the causal body, you not only let go of your self-image, you accept that you might not know how the world is, because everything that you know is a relative truth. It doesn't make it true from the absolute perspective. It is true from your mind, body, spirit complex perspective. But if it comes to the absolute truth, there is only one thing that is true here, and it is that the world is an illusion. It actually doesn't exist, and then it exists at the same time, but not the way we see it. So that's also a topic for another video, because like this is the deepest it can go. But for now, I just want to stop here on the nothingness, on the causal body, because for you to be able to channel even information from your higher self first and then from God, you have to accept that you don't know who you are, you don't know what the world is, you don't know what your life is all about, you don't know anything about the information you're going to channel. Of course, hold a firm intention, hold like something specific that you want to channel information about, some intention. Intention is like the ability to want something without the attachment of the outcome. So basically you have some intention. I have the intention to pick up this marker here. It's not something that is filled with resistance, because I don't have any thoughts on the back of my mind. I just go and pick it. In other words, intention is basically desired, dispersed action, because you're doing something about the things that you intend. You are not just wishing it, because if you're wishing it, it's a desire, it's only a projection of your astral body, and you're not using all the tools efficiently. But when you're channeling, you have your intention in mind, you relax your body for 2 to 5 seconds, for example. You let go of everything that you know, everything that you don't know. You accept that you're a child, you're innocent. You hold that firm intention in your mind. You accept that you don't know anything about it, so that you can enter in the causal or bliss body, the body of nothingness, of ignorance. And from there, you ask the question, how does my higher self perceive this situation? How does the higher self perceive this object in my mind? What are my higher self's perceptions of the thing that I'm imagining right now? And then you just stay open. You don't expect anything to happen. You stay open, and some information will come through. It's necessary. If you don't push it, if you don't need the information, you're not craving for it, you're not in this neediness state like you're walking it, you should be encompassed by your desires, then the information will come through. Then you get in this flow state, and you know exactly what the solution to your problem is, in the most direct and easiest path to the solution of your problem. And then, of course, with this information that you have channeled, you have to take some kind of action. Because if you don't value and respect the information that you're channeling from your higher self, the relationship with your higher self might not be in best terms, for example. Of course, your higher self can't hate you or can't have any negative emotion to you, because it is the thing that has created you, it's a higher aspect of you, but it won't be as willing to stay in communication with you if you neglect everything that it says. And then it will be a little bit more, how do I say it? The next time you try to make contact, when you haven't acted on the information that you channeled through, or you haven't taken it into consideration at least, it will try to give you this information in a different way that might seem a little bit more aggressive to your physical mind-body complex. And yeah, this is just a thing to notice and to know. It's not something to be scared about, of course. But that's the process. That's basically who you are also. This is a map that I will be using a lot in the videos ahead. And for now, I just wanted to show you what the process of channeling information from your higher self to this mind, body, spirit complexes, and how to access the channeled state for being a conduit of intelligent wisdom and intelligent light of the higher self, of the God, of the truth in you. So I really hope that you understood the process and the framework that at least you now know as an intellectual process. But if you get into meditation and remember all this information that I've said to you, and then use it consciously by first accepting that you don't know anything for sure, holding that firm intention in your mind, in the astral body, accepting that you don't know anything other than your firm intention, and then accepting that you don't know even anything about the topic of your intention. Because if you believe that you know what the answer is for the problem that you're trying to channel information about, it might come from your self-image, from your shadow, and you understand if it comes in the form of so much sentences, in a long answer basically, which is not clear, is not precise, and is not actionable. But when the answer comes in a fashion that is like fixed, is sharp, you know that it's true because it's something small, it's something that you precisely can understand, then it comes from your higher self or even from the God state within. So this is also something to keep in mind. So thanks again for watching this video. I hope that you understand it. I hope that you will actually use this information practically for your benefit, for your greater benefit. And if you think of a friend that might get some value out of this information because he has asked similar question before, how to be a channel for God or higher self, then send it over to him. I am sure that it will be of greater benefit to you and to him and to all the people who are interested in such information. So thanks again so much for watching. Comment down below anything that you want me to talk about in the future videos. Like this video so that I know that you understand everything that I'm sharing, everything that I'm channeling in this state that I'm being, and so that I know that this information is actually serving you for your greater benefit. Now I will leave you in the love and light of the one infinite creator. And before I do that, I would just want to remind you one single thing, that you're just one epiphany, one insight away from what? From your greater awakening and from being in alignment with your higher self, from understanding how to be in this state at all times. Thank you so much again for watching, and see you next time.